In the boundless galaxy of Sailor Moon, where fierce warriors and cosmic forces collide, there stands a guardian whose strength is not found in fire or lightning, but in the quiet, unyielding power of the mind. Sailor Mercury is the genius of the Sailor Senshi, a master of logic, intellect, and strategy. Yet beneath her cool, calm exterior lies a heart that longs for connection and a spirit that mirrors the depths of the ocean she represents. With water as her element and intelligence as her weapon, she teaches us that true strength isn't always loud. It's in the gentle ripples of kindness, the sharp clarity of thought, and the unwavering loyalty of a friend. Sailor Mercury's civilian name is Ami Mizuno. Ami means friend in French, while Mizuno means water in Japanese. Mercury in Japanese is Suisei, which literally means water star or star of water. This reflects her elemental water powers as Sailor Mercury. She was born on September 10, making her a Virgo. Virgos are known for their caring nature, analytical minds, and attention to detail, which fits her perfectly given that she's a well-known prodigy with an IQ of 300. Her blood type is A, and according to Japanese culture, people with this type are typically linked with traits like being meticulous, earnest, and responsible, all of which are presented in Ami's character. Ami's color theme is blue, with short blue hair, blue eyes, and wears a blue Sailor Senshi uniform, complementing her association with water, intellect, and calmness. Her overall appearance is often described as delicate and understated. Before she was Sailor Mercury, the guardian of water and wisdom, Ami Mizuno was a quiet child in a world that often misunderstood her silence. Born in Tokyo, Ami grew up in a household defined not by noise, but by the absence of it. Her parents separated when she was young, and she was raised solely by her mother, a highly respected and successful doctor. Ami looks up to her mother and deeply admires her career, which significantly influences her own dream of becoming a doctor. It's clear that her mother works long hours and is rarely home. The manga and anime both hint at this emotional cost of this upbringing. Her mother's frequent absence and professional detachment mean that Ami has learned from a young age to be self-reliant, emotionally restrained, and disciplined. The two share a quiet but somewhat distant relationship, built more on mutual respect and expectations than emotional warmth. Despite the lack of overt warmth, there is no indication that her mother is uncaring. Rather, she is a woman focused on her demanding career, perhaps believing that providing materially and setting a high example is her way of showing love. Her father is estranged from the family and described as a wandering artist who divorced Ami's mother and left the family when Ami was very young. He occasionally sent her postcards of his paintings, but does not return. Ami rarely speaks of her father, though it's implied that she still loves him. His absence instilled in her quiet emotional self-reliance, but also a yearning, a subtle ache for a connection that never fully formed. The dynamic between her parents, or rather the lack of dynamic, shapes Ami into a deeply introspective and emotionally cautious individual. Growing up in a home marked by emotional distance and high expectations, Ami learns early to rely on herself, to be the good girl, and to suppress her feelings. Her intelligence and calm nature are in part survival mechanisms, ways to cope with loneliness and to feel some measure of control in a world where emotional security is lacking. Ami's quiet longing for deeper emotional connection is never directly expressed, but it's felt in the way she cherishes friendship with the Sailor Senshi, a contrast to the solitude of her home life. Her first appearance occurs early in the series. We meet a soft-spoken, introverted high school student that's known for her incredible intelligence, holding an IQ of 300, earning the admiration of her teachers and the isolation of her classmates who perceive her as distant or unapproachable due to her intelligence and dedication to academics. In these early stages, Ami's introversion often manifests as shyness. She is unsure of herself in social situations and struggles to make friends not because she wants to, but because she doesn't know how to connect. At her core, Ami is an introvert. She is someone who finds comfort in solitude of books and studying, where she can immerse herself in the world of knowledge without having to face the societal anxieties that come with human interaction. Her introverted nature is a defense mechanism, a way to protect herself from rejection or misunderstanding. That awkwardness around others, the fear of saying the wrong thing or of not fitting in, mirrors the experience of many who struggle with shyness or social anxiety. Psychologically, this represents a classic case of an individual who is intellectually confident but emotionally unsure. While she excels in academic pursuits, she struggles with opening up to others for fear that she might not be accepted. Her isolation is a product of both her internal insecurities and the external pressures of being different due to her intelligence. From the very beginning, Ami Mizuno learned to be alone. Not because she lacked love, but because love felt distant. She was born beneath a sky of silence, in the shadow of a mother who healed strangers but seldom stayed, and a father who painted dreams and disappeared into them. She grew up in a home with deafening silence, where the tick of clocks reverberated more than laughter, and the textbooks whispered louder than human voices. It's not long before Ami's destiny calls her to a higher purpose. When threatened by the forces of the Dark Kingdom, she awakes as Sailor Mercury, the Sailor Senshi of water and wisdom. This moment transforms her life in ways she could not have imagined. Joining Usagi and the other Sailor Senshi, Ami discovers her purpose beyond academic success. Her identity as Sailor Mercury allows her to tap into a side of herself that she hadn't fully explored before. Her bravery, resourcefulness, and her ability to work as a part of a team. While others are guided by emotion, instinct, or power, Ami brought balance. She remained calm under pressure, keeping the team grounded, and her analytical mind allowed her to assess situations rapidly and think several steps ahead. Her role as the team strategist is central to their victories. What makes her intelligence so powerful isn't just her raw IQ, it's how she uses it. She never looks down at her teammates. She doesn't dominate conversations or try to control missions. Instead, she listens, calculates, and contributes in ways that amplifies everyone's strengths. Sailor Mercury may not have the most explosive attacks or dramatic battles, but her intelligence is often the difference between victory and defeat. She didn't need to overpower enemies, she outthought them. But more importantly, her brilliance empowered her friends. She made them feel safe, prepared, and understood. She proved that knowledge isn't just power, it's protection. Sailor Mercury often faces opponents who challenge her emotionally and mentally, such as evil forces that prey on her insecurities or outwit her intelligence. She also faces physical threats from the villains of the series. However, her external conflicts are often intellectual in nature, requiring her to use strategy, data analysis, and problem solving to defeat enemies. Sailor Mercury's attacks are centered around water and ice, making it a perfect balance between offense and defense. Mercury's first and most iconic attack, Shabon Spray, releases a cloud of icy mist that engulfs the battlefield, reducing visibility for enemies. This mist confuses opponents, allowing the Sailor Senshi to escape or gain a strategic advantage. In Season 2, the attack is upgraded to Shabon Spray Freezing, which not only obscures her opponent's vision, but can also freeze objects and enemies, increasing its offensive capability. One of Sailor Mercury's most recognizable and powerful attacks, Shine Aqua Illusion, is introduced during the Black Moon arc. Sailor Mercury releases a torrent of water that can be used to extinguish flames, trap enemies, or deal significant damage. The attack is both visually stunning and extremely effective in combat, as it can freeze or drench opponents with precision. This attack demonstrates her growth from a defensive fighter into someone who can deliver powerful offensive strikes. Mercury Aqua Rhapsody is Sailor Mercury's Super Sailor level attack. Introduced in Sailor Moon Supers, she summons a harp, playing it to create a swirling streams of powerful water that can strike the enemy with great force, making it one of her most visual iconic attacks. This attack showcases her grace and mastery of water as an element combining beauty and power. In the Sailor Moon Crystal series, during the battle against the Witches 5, we were introduced to Mercury Aqua Mirage, which is a more powerful direct water-based attack. She summons a large spiral of water that she can strike towards her enemies. This attack combines the elegance of water with significant offensive power. In every swirl of her water-based powers, we see the reflection of her depth, sometimes calm, sometimes fierce, but always full of purpose. Her abilities are often defensive or tactical, and they evolve throughout the series to become more powerful and versatile. Sailor Mercury was the only Sailor Senshi that was provided with technological gadgets such as the Mercury Visor and the mini supercomputer. The Mercury Visor is a super blue visor that allows her to analyze data, detect enemy weaknesses, and gather information. It functions as a tactical tool rather than an attack, but it's essential in many battles for analyzing the battlefield and giving her team the upper hand. The mini supercomputer is a device she uses to run calculations, analyze energy signatures, and devise strategies. It's another essential tool for her role as the brains of the team, allowing her to provide critical insight during battle. Despite her accomplishments, brilliance, and exterior perceived as emotionally composed, Ame constantly battles with her perfectionism and fear of inadequacy, often feeling pressure to be perfect, both academically and as a Sailor Senshi. One of the key psychological traits that defined Ame is her deep-seated fear of failure. Having been seen as the perfect student for so long, Ame places immense pressure on herself to maintain that standard. This perfectionism is not just about achieving good grades or success in battle. It is about being perceived as competent and valuable by others. To fail in her mind is to disappoint not just herself, but those who rely on her. Her identity as a prodigy and top student makes her immensely relatable to those who've grown up feeling the weight of expectations. Her identity as a prodigy and top student makes her immensely relatable to those who've grown up feeling the weight of expectations. She is praised for her intellect, and while that recognition is well earned, it also becomes a burden. Like many high-achieving individuals, Ame questions whether people value her or just her accomplishments. This quiet internal pressure of needing to always succeed, always be composed, always live up to her reputation, resonates deeply with anyone who's ever felt like they had to be the smart one or the responsible one all the time. Throughout the series, Ame also struggled with self-doubt, a deeply rooted psychological challenge that stems from her fear of not being good enough. We see this in episode 151. Ame is enamored with a captivating musical piece. This inspires her to create lyrics for the music and hopes to share her work with the composer. But soon she comes to regret it after questioning if she has the same level of passion as the composer and his partner. Her self-doubt is tied to her perfectionism, believing that if she cannot be the best, she may not be valuable at all. Her perfectionism is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it drives her to succeed, but on the other, it feeds into her anxieties and self-doubt. The idea of not meeting expectations, whether her own or others, haunts her. This fear is rooted in a psychological need for validation, both from herself and from those around her. It manifests in her reluctance to make mistakes, her tendency to second-guess her decisions, and her drive to constantly improve. It is important to remember that behind Ame's calm, mature exterior is still a young girl, a child who never really got to be one. She was forced to grow up too fast, to carry expectations too large for her small frame. She learned early that emotions were inconvenience, that vulnerability was a weakness, and that people would only value her if she succeeded. But what makes Ame's character so rich is that even in the face of all this, she remains kind, gentle, compassionate. She never became bitter or cruel. When Ame joins the Sailor Guardians, something inside her begins to shift. For the first time, she experiences the warmth of genuine friendship. People who don't just see her as the genius, but as Ame. Usagi's boundless kindness, Makoto's protective strength, Rei's fiery confidence, and Minako's vibrant spirit begin to fill in the lonely spaces within her. These girls become her found family. With them, she laughs more freely, smiles more often, and discovers that intelligence doesn't have to isolate her. It can unite her with others. Through these relationships, she begins to open up emotionally, learning to trust others and become more comfortable in her own skin. Ami realizes that she doesn't need to be perfect to be loved or valued. Psychologically, this shift represents Ami's journey from self-isolation to emotional integration. Her friends teach her that she does not need to carry the burden of perfection alone, and that there is strength in leaning on others. This development is critical to her becoming a more balanced and emotionally mature individual. By the time the series progresses into later seasons, Ami has become more open and comfortable expressing herself. Her interactions with her friends are more relaxed, and she is more confident in her place within the group. While she still values her independence and intellectual pursuits, she no longer isolates herself emotionally from her friends. Ami learns to strike a balance between her need for solitude and her desire for companionship. Initially, her self-imposed isolation was a defense mechanism due to her insecurities. However, as she grows closer to the Sailor Senshi, she finds strength in teamwork and friendship, realizing that she doesn't need to do everything alone. This is where the story of Sailor Moon shines, by exploring not just the external challenges of saving the world, but the internal struggles each character faces. Ami adapts by learning that collaboration with her friends is just as important as her intelligence. She gradually becomes more confident in her abilities and learns to act decisively. Her emotional journey is as important as her physical battles, and we see her evolve as a character over time. Beyond her role as Sailor Mercury, Ami's personal aspirations are also a key part of her character. Her dream of becoming a doctor perfectly aligns with the aspect of her character to not simply excel academically or personal success, or being the best. It's about giving back. To use her intelligence for the greater good, to heal and care for those in need. Her ambitions are an extension of her kindness and empathy, and this dream grounds her character in a reality that is both relatable and inspiring. Ami sees her future as one where she can blend her intellectual abilities with her inherited kindness, making a difference in people's lives through the medical field. In several arcs, Ami is offered opportunities to study abroad. It's the logical next step for someone of her brilliance. It would push her closer to her dream, give her access to elite education, and open doors to international medical training. But the decision is anything but easy. As the possibility of leaving draws near, she begins to hesitate. The thought of being oceans away from her friends, from the battles they've fought together, from the laughter, the tears, the sisterhood, they weigh heavily on her heart. Ami, who once only knew solitude, now has people she cannot imagine life without. And for many viewers, this dilemma mirrors a very real emotional crossroads. Do I follow the path that leads to personal achievement? Or do I stay close to the people who make me feel meaningful? Ultimately, Ami decides to stay. She doesn't abandon her dream. Far from it. She simply chooses to walk her path with the people she loves beside her. This decision doesn't make her weak or less ambitious. It makes her deeply human. It shows that dreams aren't just about titles or achievements. They're about why we chase them and who we become along the way. Her choice reminds us that success isn't always measured in distance traveled or accolades earned. Sometimes it's about choosing love, connection, and inner peace, even when the world expects you to chase something else. Ami's fear and eventual decision reflect the universal tension between individual purpose and collective belonging. Her story gently teaches that we don't have to abandon one to hold on to the other. Her intelligence, her dreams, and her friendships don't cancel each other out. They enrich one another. In choosing to stay, she redefines strength, not as cold ambition, but as the courage to follow the path that honors her whole self, the healer, the guardian, and the friend. Her unwavering dedication to her dream and her willingness to fight for the world as Sailor Mercury make her one of the most well-rounded characters in the Sailor Moon series that continues to resonate with audiences and inspire those who see themselves in her journey. Mizuno's romantic life, both in the anime and the manga, is treated with subtlety, introspection, and gentle longing, mirroring her reserved and introspective personality. though she never has a long-term canonical romance like Usagi and Mamoru, the moments she does have are tender and symbolic. Her most notable romantic connection is in the 1990s anime with Ryo Urawa, a kind, shy young man. The episode begins at school where the results of a test are posted on a board. Ami came second with a score of 899, while Urawa is first with a perfect score of 900. Ami calls out to Urawa to congratulate him, but he blushes and runs off. Unknown to Ami, Urawa carries a secret. He possesses the ability to foresee the future. This is due to being one of the 7 people who hold a rainbow crystal, a fragment of the 7 great Yuma. Later that episode, Usagi finds Urawa on the roof of the school reading an old newspaper cutout of an article on Ami. He remembers what happened during the test, which led to his instant crush and admiration for Ami's quiet brilliance and kindness. Urawa feels like he's not enough for Ami, and that his perfect scores are due to luck and his abilities to see the future. It's clear that he respects Ami, and doesn't just admire her for her grades, but also for her gentleness, courage, and quiet strength. The girl behind the books. He has foreseen that he will be attacked, and even Ami's secret identity as Sailor Mercury, but chooses to stay silent and protect her anyway. Throughout the episode, Urawa struggles for his feelings for her while also dealing with the knowledge that he may become a target of the Dark Kingdom. Later that episode, Zoisite finds Urawa and begins to awaken and transform him into the monster that's hidden within. Urawa refuses and says that he would rather die than become a pawn for the devil. Both Sailor Moon and Sailor Mercury come just in time to save him. Cut 2, we see Sailor Mercury and Urawa, who's clearly in pain, on a bench in a park. He thanks her while addressing her as Mizuno, leaving Sailor Mercury shocked of how he knew her real name. He later confesses about his special ability to see the future and how he was able to get a perfect score. He goes on saying that he idolized her for a long time now, and that fate will bring them to fight one another in the future. Sailor Mercury opposes his belief by saying that the future is yours to create. She scolds him and says that if you give up, everything will happen just as you think. In this confrontation, we see a more emotionally mature version of Ami. She gives him advice telling him that as long as you have faith in yourself, you should be able to create any future for yourself. She can relate to his troubles because she too once struggled with expectations of the future. Now she has more confidence in herself and the way she lives her life. Even during their first goodbye, Urawa declared that he will return only when he's stronger and scores higher without his psychic abilities. But Ami replies with words of comfort that he doesn't need to worry about grades and to come see her anytime. Ryo Urawa reappeared in episode 41 when the Dark Kingdom tried to resurrect all the 7 great monsters. He's now more confident and stronger, not afraid to face the dangers of the Dark Kingdom. However, this time, Ami is the one that's struggling, not only with the enemy, but with herself. Her own fear of being vulnerable, of acknowledging how much she truly likes him. Makoto confronts Ami, telling her that Urawa loves her, but Ami quickly states that he's just a friend, and that they have an important mission that leaves no room for her to return his feelings. Ami may find her situation to be incomprehensible, but Makoto can easily read it like a book. She explains that Ami is simply running away, that she's scared of being loved, and the reason that she comes up with all kinds of excuses is so she doesn't have to deal with Urawa. Later in the episode, Urawa suggests that they hide in the amusement park because it was his dream to take her there one day. He tells her that he will resolve the mission to take down the Dark Kingdom with himself so she can fulfill her own dreams and missions. He continues describing that his life is unworthy and that he's willing to sacrifice himself to save the world. Ami immediately gives voice to the realization that they are the same. They both are trying to avoid something. That sacrificing yourself is admirable, but if you're honest with what's in your heart, don't you feel that you would want to make it through alive? She asks him, "Aren't you forgetting that there are people who will grieve over your death?" Her words clearly connected with him as she advised that they both should stop running away and take on any obstacle head-on, no matter what it is. The episode ends with both Urawa and Ami enjoying a ride on the Ferris wheel. She proposes the idea of coming back again sometimes, and he bashfully agrees. Ami, Mizuno, and Urawa share a relationship that is quiet, sincere, and deeply emotional, marked not by grand romantic gestures, but by mutual understanding, admiration, and unspoken connection. They were not lovers destined by the stars, but two tender hearts who saw each other in a world that often looked right through them. He didn't try to impress her, he simply understood her, and she, who hid behind the books in calm restraint, let her guard down for him, just enough to smile a little warmer, speak a little softer, hope a little more. Ami is drawn to Urawa's sincerity and humility. Despite being intelligent and clairvoyant, he's unsure of himself, just like her. Their connection is rooted in empathy. They understand each other's loneliness, shyness, and desire to be more than how others label them. Their time together was brief, their feelings never fully spoken. But in that silence lived something precious. A bond not defined by what was said, but by what was felt. Respect, affection, mutual growth, a shared loneliness, eased by presence. Ami did not need a grand romance. She needed someone to see her, not the genius, not the soldier, but the girl beneath. And Urawa did. And sometimes that is love too. Not the kind that changes the stars, but the kind that stays with you quietly in the spaces between heartbeats, long after goodbye. As the waves of her journey pierce through the lives she touches, we remember Sailor Mercury not just as a warrior of water, but as a symbol of inner beauty, masked behind humble selflessness. Like the gentle ripples of water that grow into powerful waves, touching everything in their path with grace and purpose. Her journey is one of blossoming. From the shy, introverted girl who once found solace only in books, to the confident, strategic warrior who stands by her friends. Ami's evolution speaks to the transformative power of friendship, self-belief, and quiet resilience. Her mind, sharper than any blade, is her greatest weapon, but it is her compassion, empathy, and unwavering loyalty that defined her spirit. Ami's legacy is not just that of a guardian or a student aiming for perfection. It is of a young woman who learns to embrace her full self flaws, fears, strengths, and all. Her character teaches us that it's okay to be vulnerable, to feel uncertain, because from those moments arise growth, strength, and clarity. Her story is a mirror reflecting the truth that being intelligent, kind, and sensitive is not a weakness, but a gift. And through the shimmering waters she commands, Sailor Mercury shows us that the most profound transformations begin within, flowing outward like the tide, shaping the world with elegance and power. Whether she is using her intellect to outwit an enemy, or standing side by side with her friends, she always carries herself with grace like a gentle stream that flows with wisdom and calm amidst the chaos. Her blue hues reflect the depth of her soul, intelligent, compassionate, and always searching for the truth that lies beneath the surface. She stands as a pillar of quiet strength, her mind as sharp as the cold water she commands, yet her heart as tender as the gentle rain. Behind her shy, studious exterior lies an unwavering resolve, a heart filled with dreams of healing the world. Ami's journey is like the ocean's tide, steadfast, ever-evolving, and full of hidden depths. She teaches us that true power is not always loud or brash. Sometimes it's the quiet voice within, steady as a heartbeat, that guides us through the darkest storms, to believe in the power of friendship and the limitless potential of the human heart.